We're ready to start the stream. Is it up? Is it up and running? Okay, good, good, good. All right, wonderful. Good afternoon again, everybody. Aren't you glad to see me all day? I we were just talking about our titles. Valentine and mine both have global, and I think when it said global, I'm like, well, maybe that means what I'm doing. I'm going to be in every panel during the conference. Maybe that's what global means. Hope everyone enjoyed their lunch. This presentation, and we're obviously pleased and really fortunate to have Google here as one of our partners in the work we've been doing and in the ongoing work we are going to do. And I know many have been taking advantage of the initiative and been in some of the cohorts, and I'm sure there will be others, and others will take advantage of that. Hopefully you will. We're going to have two presenters come up. Well, one presenter, and then Chrissy's going to say a little. But first we're going to bring up Chrissy Towle. She is a director of Google News Partnerships. I have that right? Chrissy's going to come and share with us. We all know Casey. Give Casey a round of applause. She's with Google, but probably better known these days as Easton's mom, because we all know. So that's her real title. And then we're going to hear from the global lead and co-founder of Google Insight Tools for Publishers, Valentine Cornez. We're going to hear from him right after we hear from Chrissy. So please give them both a round of applause and give them your full attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone. Thanks for giving us this space. I really just wanted to take a moment to thank you all. And I also wanted to give a really heartfelt thank to Dr. Chavis, and Claudette, and Ron. The work that we've been able to do with you all over the last couple of years has been so powerful for us as a company, and I hope for you all as well. I was sitting here earlier today reflecting on the partnership, and it's hard to believe, but we're actually in the 5th year of working with you all. And when you take a look at some of the programs that we've been able to bring to you all, I think the first one was the Ads Transformation Lab. We're working on the Tech Lab as we speak. We've done a fellowship program as well, and you all have just been the most eager participants. I was saying this to Mark earlier, but I just love working with the NNPA. The way in which you all are so eager and hungry to learn has been just so valuable for this partnership, and we're so grateful for all that you do. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts to continue this partnership. And during breakfast, Dr. Chavis said something along the lines of like, we need your commitment that we're going to continue this partnership, and you've got it. We know that it's a thank you. Yeah, it's a continuously fast-paced environment, and when we look at what's happening right now in the industry, and now we've got AI. Like, we are here. We want to bring you all along, and we're excited about what this next phase of the partnership will look like. But with that, I'm going to pass it over to Val. I call him Valentin. It will take us away to talk about growing publisher revenue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chrissy. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. My name is Valentin Cornez. You can call me Val. I'm the co-founder of News Consumer Insights at Google. It's such a pleasure to be with you all today, especially for 2 reasons. First, I get to hang out with publishers, which I love. And second, I get to escape New York City with that cold winter. So let's have fun, for sure. So with my team, what we do is basically we build free insights tools for the news industry. Our core mission is to transform data into actionable recommendations. Essentially, what we do is we provide best practices on multiple topics: audience development, subscription strategy, contribution strategy, commerce, advertising revenue, and so on and so on. So today, I'm going to talk about potentially how you can grow your publisher revenue with an optimized funnel. So let's get started. So digital growth can take many forms for all of you. It could be like growing advertising revenue, growing subscription revenue, growing contribution revenue. but it all comes back to one essential component, and that's reader engagement. Reader engagement is essentially the backbone of everything you will try to achieve on your site. It centers around improving visit frequency and visit depth, right? It's going to be very important. Every time a user goes on your site, read an article, an ad is loading, or multiple ads are loading. And also loyalty grows. And by loyalty, I mean this emotional bond that users will build with your brand, with your mission, with your content. So it's very important. And essentially, loyalty is the key proxy for users to contribute or subscribe, right? The more they are loyal to your brands, the better, to a point where they will contribute or subscribe. Casual readers don't subscribe or contribute, loyal readers do. So the issue we have today, the challenge we have today for news publishers is most publishers don't know where to start when it comes to growing user engagement. On our side, we strongly advocate to use the funnel concept. As simple as that. So you're looking at a way we segment our partners' audiences. So you have casual users, loyal readers, and brand lovers. On our side, we say that casual readers are users who are coming once on the site over the last 30 days, loyal readers between 2 and 14 times over the last 30 days, and brand lovers more than 15 times over the last 30 days. So that's our funnel in our tool. I'll go over that a bit later. But essentially, that's how we segment our partners' audiences based on visit frequency. So why is this funnel framework working so well? Well, when you start optimizing that funnel, things will start to look great. Essentially, you're going to transform a casual into a loyal into a brand lovers on your site. And when you start doing that, you're going to grow that base of brand lovers, right? You're going to grow that base of fans on your site. And again, that's great because those people, those users, at the end of the day, those are the ones who will contribute and subscribe. So it works on that side. And how about advertising revenue? So here, you're looking at a classic distribution of news website audiences. 80% will be casual readers, 17% will be loyal readers, and 3% will be brand lovers, if I take again the segmentation I shared a bit earlier. So according to you, where do you think is the advertising revenue today for publishers? When you look at the pie of advertising revenue, where do you think this is coming from? Well, if you just look at the numbers, you could think that it's coming from casual readers, right? 80% of the audience is actually on my site. They should drive 80% of the revenue. But it's actually the opposite. The end of the funnel, the loyal readers and brand lovers, they are the ones who will generate the most ad impressions because of their level of content consumption. So that's why it's so important to drive the users down the funnel also on the advertising side. Actually, we've seen that on our side that most publication, 70% of the advertising revenue is coming from brand lovers and a bit of loyal readers. So keep that in mind. So we've just proven that the funnel is important. The funnel concept is important, but that's just a concept, right? And you would say, like, that's great. We know funnels are important. We have funnels on our side. Now, on our side, what we realized is we could help. We could help with the funnel concept. So that's why a few years ago, we've released a tool called News Consumer Insights. So just curious, by show of hands, who knows about News Consumer Insights? By show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so not the majority, so I need to do a better work with my marketing team. Essentially, NCI, News Consumer Insight, is here to provide publishers like you a way to transform data into actionable recommendations. So all you have to do today, it's a free solution, is to connect your Google Analytics data into the report, and you will action or receive specific recommendation for your site to optimize your loyalty and to optimize subscription or contribution. So I will invite you really to check the tool. It's live. You can use it. It's free. That should be valuable for your business as of today. Now, this tool has been there around for a while, for multiple years. And I'm excited to say that we have a new version of that tool that will go live in a few weeks. Very excited about this. It's kind of like days and night for us. It's a new version of it, much more powerful. It's essentially a very powerful way to empower your organization. We're going to provide reporting and insights on multiple topics, on content strategy, on audience strategy, business, which include also advertising and subscription or contribution, and also your tech stack. We'll do a review on the tool on how your site is performing, and we'll give you some tips as well there. And what I haven't said is this tool will be powered by GenAI. So you will have a bit of artificial intelligence in the tool that will provide even better insight, more customized to your organization. So I'll share at the end of this presentation how you can access or how you can get notified once the tool is live, so you're sure you can capture that moment and hopefully make the best of that solution. So now, I'm going to spend the rest of this session as much as possible trying to share some knowledge on our side, trying to provide value for you. And I won't have time to cover every topics available on that matter, but essentially I'm going to try to share 5 things, 5 insights, 5 trends you should keep in mind if you want to grow your overall revenue as a publisher. Let's start with number 1, newsletter. I have to talk about newsletter. You all know that newsletters are important on your site. We've heard that this morning with other presenters. So on our side, what we've done for the past few years is we've shared a lot of recommendations and best practices on how to grow newsletter signups. How do you get users to subscribe to your newsletters? And there are a few things to keep in mind, right? You need to really consider the location of your newsletter signups, make sure it's on all your articles within the content, because sometimes if you go to some of your site, I will realize that I can't subscribe to your newsletters easily. So make sure that you have that newsletter sign-up box within your articles. And make sure that it's easy to sign up to your newsletters by having just one field, for example. And even the color and the design of that prompt or that specific box will be important. The design, the color, make sure that you have a button that has rounded edges and with warm color. Like orange is a great color for a call to action button. You might have heard that in the past, at least on the Google side. So yeah, a lot of things to consider to grow newsletter signups. But today, I'd love to talk about another topic, the other side of the conversation. Today, if you have a lot of newsletter subscribers, good thing for you. Fantastic, you've done a great job driving newsletter signups on your site or on social media with paid campaigns, but that's not the end of the story. You could have 1 million newsletter subscribers, that wouldn't be enough to drive value on your site. You need those users to actually open your newsletters and click on your articles. So let's talk about newsletter distribution. Today, we consider this conversation as the new frontier. So what we have in terms of industry benchmark is today, for news publishers, the average open rate is around 22, 23%, and the average CTR on those newsletters around 3 to 5%. So I will invite you after this presentation, just check your numbers, check your open rate or CTR, see where you stand compared to the industry. What I can tell you is there are things you can do to improve those numbers, and I'm going to talk about them now. You're looking at, sorry, the resolution is not that great, but you're looking at a screenshot of our new tool. You will see in the new tool like essentially an abstract or the version of your site that should be ideal on different topics. In this case, we're talking about newsletters, what's the ideal structure of a newsletter, what are the things that you should keep in mind. So what I will invite you today or later, or just keep that in mind, is to compare your newsletters with that one. Let's start with open rate. What can you do to improve open rate on your newsletters? Well, it starts with a very simple concept, which is the title of your newsletters. First thing to keep in mind, that length of that newsletter title. It's most of the time too long. Like you need to make sure that you have a maximum number of characters for that email newsletter. I think on our side we've said 38 characters. 38 characters is the magic number because on iPhone, on mobile, that's where the title will be cut. So if you have long headlines, that's going to be a missed opportunity. Especially for users who are actually scrolling through their inbox, you want to have a few words there. I would invite you actually to subscribe to Bloomberg. They have 3 words on average for their newsletters. And that's the reason why they have such a great open rate. Now, in terms of newsletter titles, you could also consider some emojis. I'm not saying you should have emojis on all your newsletters because obviously it has an impact on the perception of your brand and so on. But sometimes, for some topics, it makes sense to have an emoji because it's going to differentiate your newsletters compared to other emails in the inbox. That's going to have an impact on your open rate. Also, there are things that you can do to improve the open rate is welcome emails. Every time I sign up to a newsletter, I should receive a welcome email explaining what I'm going to get and the true value of that newsletter for users. It's going to be important, again, for that bond that you're going to create with that users, right? You're going to provide the value and tell them we'll be there for you with that newsletters. So very important. Now let's talk about just the content of that newsletters. Now I'm switching topics. I'm not talking about open rate anymore. I'm talking about CTR. How do you get users to click on the links? Because you want them to visit your website, right? At the end of the day, that's where you will generate the ad revenue most of the time. That's where you will potentially get them to subscribe. So very important, drive your users to your pages, right, to your articles. So how do you get that? You need to optimize the structure of your newsletters. I'm going to start with the top of the newsletters. We strongly recommend starting with an introduction. So just to clarify, those newsletters, most of the time, they are automatic, right? You're creating an automatic email template for your newsletters. I would say just, if possible, you can just customize that short intro with your journalist. Say, let's try to figure out an intro that summarizes what is part of that, what is that newsletter is about, right? So if you have like 10 articles, let's try to summarize what those 10 articles are about, or the mood or the trend of the week. Just to get people excited, just to see like, oh, I'm just have 5 seconds. I want to read very quickly what's going on. And oh, it looks like there's something I'm interested in if I read that intro. So I'm going to scroll down. Because keep in mind that users, like any other users, they will arrive on your newsletter, and they might close it straight away. So you need to tease them. You need to hook them within your newsletter. So go for an intro text, not too long, a paragraph. It could be a summary, or it could be focusing on one specific topic, the highlight of the newsletter. There's one article that is great, you really want them to pay attention to, so potentially it's just about one article. And then look at the approach here. You're already seeing the structure of that newsletter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is an article listing view. It's pretty powerful, especially on mobile, since most of your users are on mobile or opening your emails on mobile. Use this format, where as a user, it's easy for me to skim through that newsletters, to consume the content of your newsletters. Usually, we recommend having a ranking approach, so you will list your articles within the newsletters with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example. And then having the image on the left, the title on the right. That's the easiest way to maximize the visibility on all your content and clarify what you are writing about. And that way, you will tease the users a lot. Users will see the image, will see the title of the article. If your journalist did a great job, the title will be enough to get them to click. Or potentially, you want to add a bit of a teaser for each article, just below the title. That's what I said. The body, article title, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. Don't push too many articles within your newsletters. That's a key mistake. Let's keep in mind the paradox of choice. Too many articles will remove the opportunity for the click. So we recommend 10, 15 articles maximum, so users have time to digest the whole content. I think we talked about this earlier today in another session, but essentially you should also capitalize on those users for your contribution or your subscription strategy. Essentially, those users, keep in mind that they have already that link with your brand. They're already super attached to what you stand for. So newsletters are a great opportunity to get them to contribute or subscribe. So at some point in newsletters, you want a format like this one, a visual that telling them, we need you, we need your support, contribute. You should have that on all your newsletters. In an ideal world, this image, this asset should be rotating with every 2 or 3 weeks, talking about something else. You can say, oh, this Christmas, support our publication. Or this Halloween, we need you, blah, blah, blah. You need to avoid the ad blindness situation. If you have always the same ad unit going on, you know that at some point people don't pay attention anymore. So this is very important. You can also consider another type of call to action at the end of your newsletters, which is the cross-sell to other newsletters. Right? I've signed up for your main newsletters on your site. I'm receiving your main newsletters. Cross-sell your other newsletters, things that you care about, and get them to sign up to more. Because as you know, the more they sign up to, the more inboxes, and the more chances for you to drive value from them. Does that make sense so far? Any questions on that topic? Yes?
I mean, when you said 10 to 15, it kind of sounds like a lot to me, but could you clarify why you say I could go as far as 15? Because we get worried about the scrolling process.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, we're working at about a 6 to 7 to 8
That's great.
story.
Yeah, 10 is not the magic number. I'm saying that it's the maximum you should go for.
Okay.
Because I'm coming from a world where I'm partnering with publishers and they send me their newsletters and they are like 25 articles, 30. Too much, right? You don't want that. So be careful with the amount of content, prioritize, and so on. I think we have two other questions.
I want to be efficient and respectful. Do you want to wait and finish and take questions, or do you want to do it this way?
How much time do we have left?
Well, we started a little late. Let me just do a time check. We have maybe about, if we go over a little bit, maybe about 25 minutes. So I don't know if you want to wait.
Yeah, let's wait, if you don't mind.
You all okay with
For the
that?
end, I'll try to go as fast as possible to get your questions.
Is that cool? Okay.
Sorry for that. I'll do my best. All right. All right, so that's perfect. Let's wait for the end of the conversation.
Okay, bad then on the thing.
All right, so we've been talking about newsletters. Hopefully that was valuable for you to rethink the content of your newsletters. Now, since we're talking about newsletters, I'd like to introduce you to a specific product/feature from Google. It's called Reader Revenue Manager. And that product has a specific feature to drive email collection. So you can see on the screen, it's a prompt that you can push to your users at any point on your site to get them to subscribe to newsletters, just with one click. One button, and you'll be able to collect their email addresses, those Google email addresses that they would have, their Gmail. And that's a great way to boost, again, this idea of getting more email addresses from your users. That's a very nice complementary approach to all of you who have only an inline newsletter sign-up box, right? If you only have an inline sign-up box on your article, then potentially you should have this kind of format to get even more. So that's a product that is free, and you should definitely take a look afterwards. I'll talk about that product even more. I'm just talking about the newsletter feature right now. There are other features that you can enjoy from that product. Tip number 2, let's talk about registration. We all know that registration strategy is important, getting users to register on your site. I think we've talked about that with Alvaro this morning, getting from unknown to known users. So this is also the new frontier. You want to grow user value. Those users are very important because they are, at the end of the day, again, part of that last part of the funnel. They are the ones who will subscribe. They will be already one foot in the subscription or contribution world. So you want them to register. The whole point here is, what do you do to get them to register? So what's the important conversation you need to have on your site is, what's the incentive? Why should they register on your site? Too many times we're seeing news organizations who are just have a registration process, but no clear incentive to do so. So you need to consider, like, okay, what do I offer in exchange? Is it to access to specific content? Is it to get them to comment? Is it to get them to comment, access to content? There are more things to consider, but you can be creative there. So try to create the right incentive. Then the second thing is, try to create a great experience for them. Meaning that prompt, you see, everything here, so it's very small. So at the end of this, after this presentation, you will access the content, hopefully, very quickly. But you will see here that everything is optimized within that box. You need to have buttons like continue with Google or continue with Apple, social logins options, essentially. So with one click, they will register on your site, and you will collect that information. And also, if they want to go for the manual way, email address plus password, there are a few techniques we usually recommend showcasing just the email address. They put the email address, and when they put the email address, you make the password appear. That's a trick, because showcasing the password can be overwhelming for users. They say, oh, another password to create. So showcase that password field after they actually enter their email address. And that's it, as simple as that, very straightforward. Don't ask for the first name, the last name, the zip code. You don't want that. It's adding friction to the registration. Focus on the email and the password to get them to register. Talking about Google Reader Revenue Manager, there's another feature that's live, that should go live actually in a few weeks, where you can include that registration process within the prompt that I've shared earlier. So you can bring your own prompts within the tool and the methodology and the framework. Now, let's talk about tip number 3. And I think there are people in the room who really care about content strategy and editorial on the site. So I'm going to talk about that for a few minutes here. A bit of context. We all know that the new generations, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, and others, and Jen, we don't know. They are mainly on social media, right? They're on TikTok, and they are used to this kind of content. It's very interactive. It's bit-sized content, and they love to consume that content. Now, keep that in mind and compare that with your text content on your site. There's a huge gap, right? You have content on your site that is premium. People spend time thinking about what type of article, how to deep dive on a specific topic. But potentially, just the format of that article is not great for the new generations. So there is a smooth transition that needs to happen. And I think the first step that you need to keep in mind is essentially how can you make that format a bit more interactive, a bit more interesting to engage with. And here we're talking about elements on your article structure, right? So keep in mind you have that article that you have on your site, the title, and a very long article, potentially more than 500 characters that the journalist wrote about. Now, we're going to try to break the classic monolith article text here. And the goal here is really to get users to consume that content, to get through that article. It's not a surprise that most of the time news readers, when they arrive on your site, the majority of them, they don't finish the article, right? They read 50% of the article and then they leave. The average completion rate is 50% for the news industry. So it's even lower sometimes if you have longer articles. So let's try to get them to read the full article as much as possible. And to get them to read the full article, it's all about, first of all, thinking about the headline, right? We've talked about SEO headlines this morning. On our side, SEO is always a touchy topic, but at least try to use active voice in your headline, getting very engaging headlines, catchy so that users are hooked. You should also consider sub-headlines to give even more context on what the article is about, to tease again the user. Because sometimes the headline is not enough, right? I'm a user, I'm going to read the article title, and I might not see the value of that article enough. So sub-headlines will give just a bit more context to keep the conversation going. The feature image. Feature images are important. You need to make them as wide as possible. It should be right next to the article title. For Google Discover, the weight of that image is important. It will be taken into consideration. I think it's 1,200 pixels. So make it to the right format. And also time commitment. I was checking a site this morning. I forgot from the cohort. The time commitment is an interesting feature that you are seeing on more and more publication. When you start sharing with the users how much time it takes to actually read an article, it's going to give them more transparency of the time, obviously the time commitment, and it's going to push them actually to consume the content, right? It's like, oh, it's 2 minutes to read that article. Great, I'm going to give 2 minutes for that article. Sometimes it can be overwhelming and people would just leave because they are too scared of how much time they're going to spend on it. So be transparent about the time commitment. And there are different ways to get it. It's potentially just a number, like 2 minutes for that article, or it could be a progress bar. When you scroll down, you see that progress bar appearing, and that's great to see where you stand. Audio features, there are more and more publishers implementing like a way to listen to the article. That's a powerful way to keep them engaged. Sometimes, as you know, people listen to the news more and more with podcasts. So providing an audio feature on your content could be valuable, especially with generative AI. There are more and more tools out there that are automatically reading your content and providing a voice to your content. So search for that. I believe that more and more tools will be cost-friendly. So definitely take a look at this. Now, coming back to the topic of let's get those users to consume that article. We've hooked them with the right headline, the sub-headline, the audio features. Now let's talk about the article structure. Moving away from the monolith to something a bit more dynamic or interactive. I'm going to talk about different elements here. So I have a laser that doesn't work properly on that very bright image. But essentially, I'm going to show both for both audiences. I'm going to talk about the first thing, which is essentially for your deep reporting, for your deep dive, for your very long articles. Sometimes you're talking about very complex topics, right, for your community. And sometimes for users, it's a lot to digest. So how about bringing some summary bullet points to really get them up to speed on some topics? Sometimes they don't have that knowledge that the journalist has. So bring some bullet points, like key points, key information, key things to consider about that topic is very valuable for users. You're going to educate them and keep them informed on some external topics for that content. So very important, and users will be driven to those PowerPoints. We love PowerPoints, bullet points. We love bullet points, we love summaries, and as users who are actually skimming through that article, they will want that piece of content. So that's going to be the first hook, the bullet points. Oh, there are some bullet points here. Now the second hook that you should consider, and again, we cannot see it properly here, but statistics. Most of your journalists are using statistics in their articles. Great. Statistics bring value to your content and bring value to your brand. It gives like even more recognition on the amount of work that has been done on the analysis part. Now, you want that statistic not to be written as the rest of the content. You want to pop out that statistic. 74%, huge. 74% of people in that community thinks that it's not a good thing to work on that. I'm just giving an example, but that 74% should be big. Change the font size. Create a specific design element for your statistics. It's very important. You won't have the capability necessary for all your articles to create infographics and advanced data analysis on some topics, but at least you will have the opportunity to bring some statistics up front with a different design. Now let's talk about images. Images are also interesting to hook the users. It's not only about the featured image, but it's also about potentially getting the journalists to get one more images, especially for long articles. Another hook, I love calling them hooks. I'm not sure it's the right one, but at least you see where I'm coming from. Another way is to bring quotes. Quotes. You journalists talk to someone important. Your journalist brought to the community the words of someone famous. How about changing the design of that quote? Making that quote up front, putting a different device, so that different design and different font, so that users, again, will remember this quote, will find value in this quote, and potentially will tweet or share on social and say, oh, I've heard this quote on that article from that site. You should check it out. Now, the last point, which is a bit complex, but I would just keep that in mind if I were you, is the readability of your content. Again, let's come from the worst part of the world, which is essentially you have a paragraph that's 10 meters long, just one paragraph. That's not readable. That's not easy to digest. So you need to make sure that your journalists are trained to use shorter paragraph, 5, 6 lines, so that it's easier to read. And also within those paragraphs, you want those sentences not to be too long. Again, users like tight bit content, like condensed content. So try to make it easier to read for users. Obviously, sometimes the journalist will have his own touch and his own way of writing, but it's the back of your mind. This is something that to consider. Tip number 4, let's switch gears. I've talked about audience development here and how to optimize funnel, how to get people more engaged. Now let's talk about conversions. Let's talk about contribution and subscription. I believe this is an important topic for all of you. So let's talk about the conversion pages, right? The very important pages on your site. It's actually sometimes the paywall or a message that will appear at some point on the home page, on your article. And most importantly, it's going to be your subscription landing page or contribution landing page. So you need to optimize those entry points for your reader revenue models. And keep it minimal. Keep it simple. You have less than 10 seconds to convince them to contribute and subscribe when they see those messages. So everything needs to be clean, reduced. Every element is important. Remove the noise. This is an example of an ideal landing page. You might have seen this layout on your site or on other site, but essentially, this is what we're talking about in terms of clean design. Above the fold, you should have your packages, your membership plans or your subscription plans. As you can see here, if I'm landing on your landing page, I shouldn't see your navigation bar with all your categories. If you have categories sports, economy, you're giving a chance for users to leave that page. So remove the noise, remove the additional links. You want to keep that users on that page. Remove the navigation bar. Remove the ads. Please remove the ads. If you have an ad unit there on your subscription page or your contribution page, you're adding noise, and potentially users will click on that ad, which is different value compared to a contribution. We all know this. So remove ads and links like that. Now, here you can clearly see this is a subscription or a contribution landing page. It could apply for a paywall, right? You could use the same design on top of your articles of different packages if you have a subscription model. If you have a paywall, one key important things to do is to actually drive users directly to the checkout page. Don't push them to your landing page. Push them to the checkout flow. They click on that paywall, they won't go to your landing page, they should go to your checkout flow directly. You're adding an unnecessary step, so straight to the checkout. Yeah, so 3 packages. I'm going to talk about very quickly about the decoy effect, which is important here. Some of you might have multiple subscription plans or contribution plan or membership plans. Keep it to maximum 3 plans, no more. Because again, you want to avoid the decision fatigue and you want to bring more focus on specific plans, right? And the magic number is 3. And I'm going to talk about the decoy effect because sometimes publishers will have 2 plans. And you need to go to 3 plans so that the one in the middle has more pressure and more interest from users. You can see if you go to the movies, you have the small, medium, and large. There's a reason for that because users will be driven to the medium. They want the easy choice. So by bringing to 3, you will see the one in the middle is suddenly very attractive and straightforward. So facilitate the conversation and make that plan in the middle even more attractive with the right visual, the right icon, the right label. Here we have reader's choice. You're actually facilitating the decision here. Another thing to consider is just the layout and the design. So you see the call to action buttons. The one in the middle is in orange. Again, warm color for the call to action button will drive better CTR. So use that color as much as possible. Make those buttons with rounded edges. And more importantly, at the top of the page, clean that top of the page. Have a very simple headline. Support our site and for those and those reasons, but don't go for too long. If the half of your page is about what you stand for, you're going to lose users. Everything needs to fit under 2 headlines, especially for subscription and contribution. Yes, and I think that's pretty much it for this. Now, we've been talking about subscription and contributions, paywall and landing pages. There, as part of Reader Revenue Managers, you can also get contribution or subscription on your site. It's an additional way to get those conversions, especially for those of you who have a contribution model. This is a nice add-on. You can ask, if you deploy the solution, users to contribute. And in 2 clicks, you will get them to contribute. So you basically trigger that prompt on your site, and users will find it easy for them to select an amount, click on a button, and that's it. It takes a few seconds because everything is integrated here. Now, last topic, and I'm on time, roughly. All right. So last topic, I've talked about audience development. I've talked about reader revenue with the conversion pages, and now let's talk about ad sizes and ad placements. This morning, you had a glimpse or a great information around location and ad sizes. I'm going to reiterate on that topic. You need to optimize the average revenue per users here. And you need to get more revenue from your users, and one way to do it is to use multiple ad sizes for the same placement. If you go to your site, you might have a 728 times 80 times 90 on the top of the page. That placement could be in competition with another ad unit, right? Something even bigger, but with similar sizes. By putting more ad sizes for the same location, you can increase the auction pressure. You're going to get more interest from buyers because suddenly you can put into competition different demand for that specific placement. Also, viewability, you need to really consider different formats. The banner anchor format is pretty powerful, especially on mobile. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and you've covered this morning, so that should make a point. And also the sticky and rail. So let's take a look at an example of publication. This is, again, a concept here, an abstract. To make it simple, on your news website, these are the locations that we will recommend or that we see that was working well. Placement 1, top of the page, just above the article title, have that banner, like that long banner, 728 times 90, or 970 times 90, or 970 times 250. So those are very long banners. Put them into competition and put them there. Actually, if you put them too high, if you put them above your categories, like at the top of the page, most users, in terms of ad viewability, will miss them because they scroll down and suddenly those are not visible. So the CTR will go down if you put them there. So if you want really maximize the CTR, it's better to have them right below the navigation bar, right above the title. 970 times 250, 970 times 90, or 728 times 90. Those are the ad formats you should consider to put them in competition on your side. Now, another format that I would love you to consider is the banner on the right, right? We all have that right column, right? And that banner is going to be important. Skyscraper, 300 times 600, 160 times 600. Those are the very vertical banners that you should deploy on your site. One thing to consider here, the additional information that you might not have is it's important to use a sticky approach, meaning that when you scroll down the page as a user, make it sticky, make it visible for users for a certain number of pixels. I'm going to scroll down the page, and I will still see that banner, right? And at some point, after a few pixels, you're going to rotate with something else, with the recirculation units, with related articles. But you want to have that banner visible for a certain number of pixels to increase CTR, viewability, and so on. Now, I've talked about the top of the page, the right-hand side. Now let's talk about the in-content. It's important, especially for long-form article, to have banners appearing every X number of paragraphs or characters. So you should set up a rule to say, I want my users to see every 300 words, 350 words, an ad unit there. Too many times, I think I've heard that this morning, we see publishers just having the top and the right, but within the content, nothing is happening so much on the advertising side. So since that content is so valuable for users, that's where the eyeball is. So you need to monetize that eyeball. Now, on mobile, same approach. You should have that banner, again, within that article, every 300 words, 3 paragraphs, and so on. And especially on mobile, you should consider anchor format, right? That's the banner below the fold. At the bottom of the page. That will be sticky, right? You can also consider the same type of approach for desktop. You can have that long banner that stays sticky there. To be discussed with your team, if that makes sense. If you don't have anything, you should start with mobile. It's an easier choice. And then if you want, then you can try and test the one on desktop and see the impact on user experience and if people are not too concerned about it. But definitely those banners have great RPM because they are visible, right, all the time. Now, with Reader Revenue Manager, there's another feature that I will invite you to check. It's an interesting one. It's called the House Survey feature. Essentially, you'll be able to deploy templated surveys on your site. And once users are actually answering those surveys, the data from those surveys will be shared with your advertisers, with Google Ad Manager and programmatic. And your advertisers, especially with first-party data conversation, this information that they're going to share, that's going to help advertisers get more interested from your inventory. So check it out. It's free again, and it has an interesting approach with Google Ad Manager.
Is that a widget that you
It's a widget, so it's still Reader Revenue Manager. Reader Revenue Manager is the brand of the product, and within that product, you have different features. You have the contribution, the newsletter, the house surveys. All right. I'll go very fast. Now, unless things go crazy. Last feature on the advertising side, the tool now in the next few weeks will also provide rewarded ads, meaning that if you have a paywall or if you have content you want to put behind a video ad, you can do it with the tool. And you know those specific formats are very valuable. The RPM is very high. So potentially you can use it to drive higher CPM for users. They will just click on that widget, see an ad to access specific content behind the widget. And this is a summary of different features from the product, Reader Revenue Manager, registration, meter read, the house surveys, the subscription. So That product is interesting because you can use specific features or you can use all features and play with the platform and organize the user experience on your site. That's the end of the presentation. Very quickly, to keep that in mind, you can take a picture of this. There are 2 QR codes. The first one on the left is to get notified when the new solution from News Consumer Insight is live so that you can share it with your colleagues. Again, this new report, I hope, will bring a lot of value to you because it's going to help your journalists, your product team, your marketing team, and so on. It should be quite helpful. And then on the right, it's more about the Reader Revenue Manager solution. To see more about this, to actually start with the solution. Again, it's free, so it's free to a certain point. Anyway, check it out. It's an interesting product. And that's it. I don't know if we have time for a few questions.
Yeah, we do. I think so. Brief questions, folks. This has been very helpful, hasn't it?
It has been very helpful, but I have concerns.
All right.
And y'all probably could help me, all of the other publishers. My first concern is I don't have a paywall. I'm a free publication,
Yeah.
and you can go to my website at any time. But when I want to get money and I want a paywall, that's going to lessen my readers that come to my site.
Yeah.
So have y'all gone through that transition of having a free publication and then going to a paywall? Nobody has done that? Ah. But just well, so that's
Repeat that. What did you say?
he said it's the other way around.
Most people are now forcing people to pay online is not as fruitful. So most people are starting to
Okay, so he just said that people are they're doing the opposite, and I have not even
Going from paid back to free.
right, because that's the only way you're gonna keep your. I mean, for me.
Here, I have one for you. I mean, Val's the expert here, but anecdotally, what I've seen, it sort of exactly mirrors what Alvaro is saying, which is that especially during COVID, when access to credible and quality news information was critical for public health, a lot of news publishers who had previously been paywalled and subscription strategies removed their paywall. And that trend is continuing, I think, for equity and access to information. I think what you could do, though, and use the tool and sort of the principle, as Val said, even if you don't have a subscription or paywalled model, is you can use them for contributions.
Yeah.
And, you know, support your local journalism, support our journalists, or become a membership, which could be free as well. So you're just capturing the email address, which is your starting point on data and creating a first-party relationship.
Yeah.
And the second one is that listen button. What are they listening to? I mean, somebody's reading the story to them, or how does that go? That listen button you had down there?
When they say listen to the article, what voice is it?
I was talking about like artificial intelligence. There are more and more solutions out there that are automatically, when you put them on your site, that are reading your content automatically and providing that voice.
Who provides the voice?
Artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have a question about that. How
How
I
do
see
you-
it all the time. How popular is that now? More and more people listening. Is that growing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the audio feature and the audio behavior, you have today a real trend of people consuming audio content, right? We all know that with podcasts. What we've noticed is like subscribers or members, they love that kind of feature, additional features. And usually it drives a lot of retention for them. And we saw great impact on conversion rate for those who were using that feature. So if you have an audio feature on your site, those who will actually consume the audio features, it will have an impact on the perception of your brand. They will love your brand because they can actually listen to your content on the go. And they will feel more inclined to contribute to your site because they're going to like your brand more. So it has a positive impact. Now, the recommendation is test it, check it out, see if there is a cost-friendly approach, and potentially provide that to your members for those who have a membership model. Alvaro.
Yeah, two quick questions. I noticed that on the homepage of NCI it says 1% should be. It shows 1% as the number for brand lovers. I don't know if it's a target because when you showed the funnel, that was to 3. I just wanted a clarification, 1 or 3. That was the first question. And the second question is, I love the idea you mentioned about cross-selling your newsletters. But if in practice, if they're subscribed or not, we should know this. So is there, besides just simply throwing it out there blindly to everybody, is there a tool that can smartly invite those that are not signed up for that second or third newsletter?
I think, okay, so I'll try to remember. So the first question was around brand lovers and the penetration of brand lovers. So the average we are seeing in the industry is it's between 1% and 3%. I just gave that number like on that presentation just to give you a thought. Could be more, but it's never like more than 5% of traffic. So if you go to your NCI account, you will see a number between 0 and 5. You want as many brand lovers as possible. That's kind of like the goal here. If you have 0% of brand lovers, that's where the issue is. You need to build that community with the reader engagement strategies. Now, for your second topic on newsletter cross-sell, we're talking about cross-selling for users who have subscribed to one newsletter, which is kind of the case for the majority of your newsletter subscribers. They don't subscribe to multiple ones. Now, like, do you want to avoid that kind of message for users who subscribe already to the others? It's going to be a tough one, but it's worth it to still communicate with the rest of your newsletter subscribers. It's not the best answer, but right now we are at a stage where like the majority of your newsletter subscribers, they don't subscribe to multiple newsletters. Not you, Ahmed, in general, like in the news industry. Yeah, go ahead.
I got a quick. Can we actually get this presentation? And lastly, could you put that last slide back up so I can get the QR code? It went kind of fast.
I believe the presentation will be emailed to you, and you can also, I don't know if the...
Can we put the last slide back up so we can get that?
The very last slide. Do you have access? Do we? Can we? One thing that just dawned on me, and just please keep this in mind going forward in case I forget to remind you. This is streaming, and so what I noticed when you all couldn't see some of the smaller font, if you, while you're sitting in here, if you pull it up on your phone, then it shows up big on your phone. So you can actually see, because the slide presentation is like a side screen, simultaneous with the presenter. So you can actually see it on your phone real well. Go to Black Press USA YouTube or Black Press USA Twitter, and you can actually see the slides right up close on your phone as the presenter is showing them.
Great. Thanks a lot. Ouais.
Yeah, this will live, when it's streamed in that video, that lives forever. YouTube, Twitter, it's on my show's Facebook, Make It Plain, as well. It's all simul streaming on that. So if you go there now, you can actually see that last slide you're looking for. Just scroll it back a little bit and you'll see the slide right on your phone. Any other, wait, I'm gonna make sure and then leave it, and we'll get this last one. Yes.
Based on the layout that you were showing, who determines how that layout looks on different mobile devices? Because we pulled up my website a little while ago, and it totally looked different on the phone than it does.
Yeah, it's because you have so when you're on your laptop versus on your mobile, most of the time publishers will decide to go for responsive. That automatically the site will be redesigned for mobile phone.
So who controls that? Is that
your product team? Your product team are the people working on your CMS.
I don't have a product team.
Whoever design your website will decide.
Y'all got a product team?
I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is that the host? That, our hometown is the host for the website. You are too.
yeah. So right now you can already use News Consumer Insights and the new version of it, it's supposed to be in a few weeks. So yeah, we are actively working on that. Thank you. And for Reader Revenue Manager, the other Google products, like most of it is already live. So you should give it a try.
Let's thank Valentin and his presentation, and Google, and Chrissy, and Casey. Give them all a round of applause, if you would. This will be available for everybody to see and to share, and as I said, it lives on the website. If I could make one humble suggestion, as we hear about all these different ideas, and everybody's got to figure out what works for them, that may not, one thing may work here that may not work in this local paper. What I had to learn how to do, and it just dawned on me one day, sometimes when we're in leadership, or we're a publisher, or we're the person who's doing it, we sometimes have to step out of that role and become the subscriber or the consumer. So when you're on the internet and you're going through stuff just that's not your publication, what catches your attention? What pulls you in sometimes and makes you subscribe? And sometimes that might be what works for your audience. So just pretend you're the person actually consuming the product. And every time you're on the internet, you see something, a newsletter pops up. Well, Jackie subscribed. What made Jackie subscribe to something else? What was it about that made you subscribe? And then think, might that work for your audience? And I've done that a couple times, and to my surprise, well, that got my attention. Let me see if I can do it. When I do it, then it works. When other people want to come to me, and that's not very scientific, but you're a consumer too, so you know what attracts you, what makes you pick that category in the middle. What makes you pick it? And then maybe that's what makes others pick it. Yeah, we ready. Yeah, we moving on. Okay. Now, yes. Oh, we have to do one other thing. I believe we're ready for this. Claudette's not here, but so before we go on to our next presenter, we have a message from one of our distinguished sponsors. Do we have that, gentlemen? Was that brought to you? Hyundai? Do we have the Hyundai video? Is Andre in here? I don't see him. You got it? Our sponsor, Hyundai, please take a look.
To our friends and family at the NNPA, it's wonderful to be with you.
We want to welcome now. Thank you, Hyundai. Give them another round of applause, if you would. We're going to welcome now the founder and CEO of FOTM Global in Atlanta. He's going to talk to us about tracking Black American and allied spending in America. In 2023, African Americans injected $1.8 trillion into the American economy. And look, this is also the historic unveiling of the Black Wall Street ticker, right? All right, please welcome Brother Charles Walker. Give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon. As stated, my name is Charles Walker. I'm a native of Augusta, Georgia, and former black newspaper publisher. Champ. Yeah, that's my middle name, Champ. We ran a newspaper for 25 years, And this idea that I'm about to talk to you all about today came from my experience at 19 years old selling advertising in the newspaper. We'll replay that as we start. Y'all got the volume on that? Okay. No volume? Okay. Okay, no problem. I keep talking. Let's get so what we're about to introduce today is some cutting edge technology that we've been working on for 34 years while I was in college. We saw that selling advertising to black businesses as a revenue stream to sustain the newspaper was kind of tough. Worked with a lot of black churches, et cetera. And so we were trying to create ideas to bring in advertisers and to create revenue. We were very fortunate because my father was in politics, became Senate Majority Leader, so we were in rooms that a lot of people weren't. So our newspaper, we did, sometimes 1.5 million a year, which is good for a black newspaper back some 20-some years ago. And so we created a directory. It was barely used. Then we came up with a concept to have people call one phone number to get in touch with over 150 different services and products from black businesses. Started working well. I had some college interns. They advertised for these black businesses. They gave out a card. It was just one phone number. We worked in unison. We paid them a commission to send business to black businesses. Went well. Our first deal was $7,000 net profit, all right, on a commission. The black business didn't pay us. Second, third, fourth business, a couple of $100. The third business didn't pay us. So for 34 years, we've been trying to figure out, this will work if you make it convenient for people to access or find black businesses, but we needed a tracking mechanism to do so. So after 34 years after George Floyd, when I saw that there were so many people marching, 80% of those people marching were young, non-black, multi-generational. So we created a social data analytics company called FOTM Global, which stands for Friends of the Movement. And in that company, we put together technology from several different companies to be able to track black spending with black businesses, our ally spending with black businesses, whether it's Asian, Indian, Muslim, et cetera. We can track in real time our spending with their communities and their spending within our community. And the ticker is just like NASDAQ. Instead of stocks, we track the spending. And the whole purpose of this is to leverage our spending data for justice. $1.8 trillion we spend. If you took half of America, it's another $5.3 trillion that our allies spend. So you're talking about $7 trillion, all right, to really bring about change. I think most of you all know that if you look at affirmative action, it wasn't just about college admissions. It was just the beginning of gutting affirmative action in procurement and federal contracting. It had come down to the state level, local level, and where would we be then? You look at Black Wall Street, it prospered. When they take away affirmative action, it's going to have a ripple effect. We voted, we marched, right? And everybody was proud of that. The Supreme Court made a decision to get affirmative action. So what we're seeing is that forces at play beyond our voting, dying, bleeding, blood, sweat, and tears, still making decisions to drop bombs like they did on Black Wall Street. Every time you see that black community prospers, you will see some that would do everything to reverse the tides. We're seeing that in real time today. And if history has a tendency to repeat itself, which it does, and it is the truth, we're up for a battle. So we've come up with, and I love this slogan, empower the black press, the black vote, and black America. If you look at the black vote, right, we vote at the ballot box, but we also vote with our wallets. Every day, every time, everywhere. Every time you spend your hard-earned dollar, you're voting. So what I like to show you all is give you all a presentation of how we've created a dual voting system and created a new way to vote. Point blank, period. $1.8 trillion. I don't know, I know we talk about it a lot. And I believe that our community we do good with talking. After George Floyd, there was a 7,000% increase in black business searches. 5-6 months later, there was a 98% reduction in black business searches. So we tend to start off running. I mean, hightailing it. And then all of a sudden, we lose momentum. And what is that? People attribute that to it's the mentality. Whatever it is, we have to overcome it, right? So we're presenting a solution today where there's really no more excuses for us not to support each other. To track our spending is very powerful. If you look at Martin Luther King and his movement, after he achieved voting rights, civil rights, the third leg of the movement was about civil rights, say empowering civil rights through data. What was the threat beyond marching and voting during the civil rights movement? They didn't care whether you marched or whether you voted. It didn't make a difference. You can do that all day long. What they did care about was Martin Luther King's message to America, all of poor America, the commonality that all men had. And that was America was writing checks, and they wasn't writing checks to poor people. So he became the most dangerous, most hated man in America because they knew he had the power to conduct boycotts. Now, if you stop supporting corporations today with $1.8 trillion, you'll see a big difference. Overnight, period. And we do boycotts, but we have a new thing. We call it boycott technology. Why even bother trying to boycott? Just buy from people who support you. So this platform is designed for us as consumers to buy from those who support us. And it's done in a very seamless fashion. All right. So we always say, just imagine our money united. What if every dollar, every day, every time created social change? Our platform is designed to connect consumers and businesses with companies that align with their values, empower the consumers through boycotts. People take a pledge to spend. They can support various groups, and you'll see the various groups later. We can track the spending in real time by conscious spending groups, and we report it on the ticker. The conscious consumption revolution. The numbers are staggering as to how people want to spend their money, their hard-earned money, and make an impact. There's a massive market, massive disruption, and massive impact because since the beginning of the revolution, people shop local to support the revolution. Quakers refused to buy goods produced by slaves. Rosa Parks, you know what happened with the books? She didn't sit down, so she wouldn't sit up, so guess what? It was a boycott. What happened was that voting rights and everything else followed. People listened. It impacted their dollars. You let God deal with their hearts. In 2009, voting with your dollar became an academic study. When Obama ran for office, small money donations showed that you can get money from the masses. 2016, the presidential election changed the way people boycotted. That is the evolution of council culture, which I say is it council culture or cancer culture? It really depends. The next economic disruption, if you look at technology today, you see that Angie's List connects consumers and contractors. Facebook connects friends with other friends. Uber connects consumers to independent drivers. And Amazon connects consumers to products and efficient delivery. Our platform allows these other platforms and any platform to make a conscious connection before you shop. We report that impact and drive change. 86% of consumers expect companies to do more than make a profit. 90% of millennials will buy from a social and environmental company. 75% of shoppers want to shop with companies that match their values. And we talked about this earlier, there was a 7,000% increase in black business searches at the George Floyd. Social media and technology accelerates social movement growth. People align in groups. That's how you get conspiracy theories, and cancel culture is growing. But we empower that spending response. Here's what we call our conscious spending groups. Whether you're faith-based, minority, gender-based, environmental, sexual preference, mainstream, LGBTQ, eco-friendly, etc., we create campaigns that allow their supporters and the merchants that support them for people to be able to vote with their wallets, because our spending matters. Our first conscious spending group is called Black Wall Street 4.0. We've been endorsed by the nation's top civil rights organizations in the country. We're launching in Atlanta on March the 12th at the Rice Center, the largest incubator that houses black business in the country. And we partner with the Greenwood Chamber and the Black Wall Street Chamber in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This first initiative, we will launch the Black Wall Street ticker up under the Black Wall Street 4.0 with the purpose of closing the wealth gap as a preeminent model for other conscious spending groups and cultures. As stated earlier, after George Floyd, there was a $50 billion commitment in our community to fight systemic racism. 65% of those funds were for training, low interest rate loans. Companies still made money promoting that they were in our favor. It happened to serve as a pipeline using data so that they can come back and sell us again. Was it a true $50 billion investment? No. Have they spent that money? No. Who's tracking it? That's one of the things that we're doing. So as you look, we've created this Black Wall Street ticker, and up under what we call the Our Money United campaign, where in each city we're doing a tour. It's a very communal effort with municipalities, civil rights organizations, et cetera. We come in, do a press release, and we sign consumers and merchants up. The ticker will be located inside of the Rice Center building. When they finish their renovations, it will be outside of the building. We launched on top of a skyscraper in Atlanta for the Our Money United campaign, the official educational campaign. And just like in Times Square on Wall Street with the NASDAQ ticker, you will see it housed in academic facilities. We've had churches to ask for the ticker. Even businesses want to have the ticker in their location. So you could see the ticker anywhere, but it's in real time where you will see these numbers. We believe that what gets tracked gets fixed. They always talk about how much money we spend, right? And the Nelson would do a report. But they really don't know how much we're spending because no one asks you before you purchase whether you're black, Muslim, Asian. They just don't ask you, right? In our program, for the first time, we do. And that's why it's never been done before. People say, why haven't this been done before? Well, there's a need. When corporations spend $50 billion to fight a system, people are weary, and they're looking for change. And so now this here is the Black Wall Street ticker and how it will appear on, you see this company, Reach TV. It's a minority-owned company that's in 100 airports, 12 billion impressions, 128 million audience, and 35 million subscribers. So on the television stations that you see, when you depart the airport, 75% of the time the ticker will be scrolling. So we have a lot of coverage. And you see we said the voter wallet, Vote Now, will show you how you vote and how you see the ticker rotate. The Our Money United campaign was launched on top of the Equitable Building in Atlanta, Georgia. The One OK Phil, we unveiled the blueprint concept back in 2022 in Tulsa on Black Wall Street. And as you can see, the ticker was scrolling around the actual baseball field there. This is a picture of the ticker that's going to be at the Russell Center on the outside of the building. And here's some of the organizations that have endorsed us. And there are lots more to come. And here's some of the major partners that we're working with. And so we're here today to talk about partnership with NNPA and all of you. It wouldn't be an NNPA if it wasn't for you. We wouldn't be here today. We would not have had the movement we had without the black press. It was very important. When others were skewing the truth, telling stories, telling their own narrative, while pillaging in our community, the black press was telling the truth. It was the only way we can get our story out. Today, it's the same way. We must tell our story. And we're asking for the NNPA to become a flagship media partner. All of you are here to run the ticker on your websites, apps, everywhere we go, with an opportunity where advertising, if you see Reach TV, I'm sorry, go back here. When you see Reach TV or Fordham Global, that's the space where all what we call the flagship advertisers or corporate friends of the movement will advertise the ticker. And with that, on a state, local, federal level, if any advertisers you have, any corporations that say they want to be more inclusive to help close the wealth gap, well, we ask corporations to become friends. If you're not a friend of the movement, why would we support your community? Period. So they have to opt into a modern day Black Wall Street. We spend with each other, but our allies spend in our community. So if they don't take a pledge and give us what we call friendly data, transparent data where everybody's accountable, we don't tell them, no, you're not a friend. We just let everybody in the community know that they don't want to share their data. Now, why wouldn't they want to share their spending data? They use it to target us, and they publish reports every year that says Black Americans, based upon their economic power, will represent the 16th largest country in the world. All right? So they recognize that we spend 3 times more than our counterparts on name brand, top of the line, disposable products. So everybody recognize that we spend money, period. So when we advertise this ticker, and we know how much we're spending with them, if Coca-Cola came today and they did a press release, said we spent $5 billion in the Black community over the last 10 years. Man, that's a lot of money. But the data will show we spent $20 billion with them this year. X amount on Coke, X amount on Sprite, X amount on Sunkist. Not only is the aggregate value powerful that we know how much we spent with them as a whole, but the data on what products we spend our money on. Data is the new oil. One of the largest corporations in the world is Amazon. They were selling books. It wasn't the genius of Jeff Bezos to sell books on the internet. It was his ability to understand data, tapping into Facebook and social media, seeing what everybody liked, and saying, let's cater to them, and let's be the middleman. Well, we're proposing, with the Black Wall Street ticker and the voter wallet, that we become the middleman and own our own data. And when we have our data, that's one thing. But when we have our allies' data, we become a repository. We become owners of our own destiny. We leverage data for justice. So, we have a group of 100,000 Black women businesses. So you look at the Black women businesses as a conscious spending group. Can you imagine the power that Black women wield in spending money with Black businesses, et cetera? All of these businesses, LGBTQ, faith-based churches, etc., all of them have to advertise, period. Now, if these businesses are they want us to drive traffic to them, they need to advertise with the black media. We need to be front and center as a vehicle to drive business to them. What better way to drive value to advertisers than to drive business to them? In fact, if you're selling advertising and people, if they're doing it just because, well, I'm going to do business with you because you're a black newspaper, that's not going to work. They want results. I never could understand, and I served on the board of several chambers, civil rights organizations, served on the steering committees, and I never understood a chamber that will ask you for money, but their focus was on getting dues to hold training seminars rather than driving business to the businesses that are members. So a lot of organizations, training is fine, workshops fine, but if you send people business, they got enough money to pay you. They'll come to your committee meetings, they see it as powerful, and it will grow. Everybody in the community should be a member, bar none. So one of the things that we're doing is, hold on 1 second here. We're looking for a situation where we have a media spending ticker, where we report how much money corporations are spending with us, but also how much black businesses and our allies in our local communities are spending with our newspapers, with media, period, right? Because how can we as a community talk about supporting each other, but we don't support the businesses that tell us the truth, right? Doesn't make sense. But if we own it, it's a different ballgame. If they know that you're actively promoting their business, we're using technology to reach millennials, we're using technology to reach more people, we're targeting these people, and we know that they spend, period. We collect this data on the Black Wall Street ticker. That data is shared with our partners, with all the newspapers, to help us make better, more informed decisions. Just like on a consumer level, where we share data, the more data you have, the more you can make informed decisions, period. Why support? We're publishing a list of friends, right? And if they don't support you, why would you spend your money with them? Most black directories, as we found, was a major problem. With startup black businesses, in 18 months, they're out of business, a good many of them, right? So people would use a black directory for a time being, but let's say where I'm from in Augusta, Georgia, I don't think we have a black physicist there. In Atlanta, you have black just about everything. They call it Wakanda. In certain areas, we don't have as many skilled professionals. So when they go to a directory, there's a hit and miss sometimes. But in this directory, the voter wallet, you can connect to a black business or an ally business. So there's no hit and miss. If you can't find a black business, you find an ally business. We reward friends of the movement. They support our community, we support them. It's not like, hey, well, suppose the white community or the Asian community, they started their own. Well, a lot of immigrants who've come over here, they do support each other. Black Americans in certain groups, we do support each other. Lack of access to capital is an issue. We provide inferior services. Is it a mental issue that we can't provide customer service? No. You're trying to run a business, pay your bills, stressed out, it impacts how you deliver your service, right? If you had money, you can think, you can focus, you can hire people, you can hire the best of the best. So we never believe the myth that we're lesser, bar none. All right. As part of the unveiling and the Our Money United tour, we're sending out press releases in each city. We need the assistance of the media, like I said, to get the word out, to talk about spending, our spending power, to talk about the history of civil rights and what we have accomplished. But the bottom line is that people need to know that if we really, really, really want to make an impact, a lasting change, that if we track our spending and report it, and put corporate America on notice and say there's no more excuses. Here's our ticker. Here are the businesses. We've signed as many businesses up in these local communities. We've signed corporations up. We know who's on our side and we know who's not. And we can do it from our phone. And as a result, not only their advertising sales on the tickers, but there's revenue share when merchants come into the system, when consumers sign up in the system, corporate sponsorships. We share that revenue with the newspapers. Phone's platform is designed to help everybody. It's a cyclical community. It's not about us. We could not do this to get this spending data. We need people's participation. We need merchants' participation. All right? And so there's a revenue share on the referral and rewards program. You can refer a business or a consumer to a black-owned plumber, Asian plumber, et cetera. And there's a percentage. Let's say if the plumber charged $2,000 and there was a 10% cash rebate, that's $200. The person referred to would make $100, period. We're paying people, monetizing word-of-mouth referrals. Most referrals come from word of mouth, credibility, period. So to power and incentivize, because some people just simply have the mentality of what's in it for me, beyond supporting black businesses to close the wealth gap. And we all know that 75% of the people that black businesses hire come from within their own black communities. So when people say support black banks, yes, support black banks, but that's not going to close the wealth gap. In fact, it can be a situation where we suffer from the illusion of inclusion. We go to the bank, we rushed and we put 20,000 of us in Atlanta put money into a bank the first week after George Floyd. And even before then, it was more than that. But when people come to get a car loan or a house loan, they're turned down. He said, well, why did they told me to put my money in the black bank? What happened? They can't just loan you money because you put your money in the bank. They didn't have enough time to tell you during the tour or the interview that you may or may not get turned down. All right? So there's a lot of disillusionment in our community. But by supporting black businesses, we can help close the wealth gap. Insurance is one way, home equity is another. But we always say one people, one wallet. If we vote with our wallet and we track it, we can really make a difference. And at this point, I would like to, if you can, put the website. We're going to show you how simple this is from your cell phone. All right. Okay, I don't know why it's coming out like that, but we'll do the best we can. All right. If you click on Find Merchants, Friends in the center. There we go. All right. Go to Select Friend category, third one down. I'm sorry, if you can go back. Okay. Let me go here. Excuse me. If you go to Select Friend category. How do we get to this? It's a website. You go to FOTM, stand for Friends, FOTM Global.com. And you can also get to it through the campaign name, OurMoneyUnited.com. Okay, did you go to the Select Friend? Yeah, get out of that one. But, so, if you select your friend category, it's called consumers or merchants or nonprofits. You go down to conscious merchants you support. You can be Alaskan Native, American Indian, Asian, Black Wall Street, veteran-owned, women-owned, etc. You can select your faith values, eco-friendly values, LGBTQ values, etc. Businesses, when they sign up, they fill out the same form. The algorithm in the technology matches your values to ensure that every dollar, every day, every time you spend, you're spending with impact. You're not spending your hard-earned dollars with people that don't support your community, period. So, and it brings up in each group's profile, you can contact them via email, you can rate them, you can look at their social impact activities, and there's what we call Impact Central, where you can sell products inside, you can host seminars, you can contact these businesses directly, and they contain what we call voter activities. People vote every day with their money. Anything pertaining to money and spending is inside of this platform, period. So the voter wallet powers the Black Wall Street tickers. The tickers that you see that aggregate the numbers in real time come through this particular website. If you can go back, please. Yep, you go back. I'm sorry, you keep it up. But click on Photum Global in the center. Yep, over there. I'm sorry, go back up. Over to your left, the logo up top. I'm sorry, let me see. Okay, I'm sorry. Go to About Us and click on Conscious Ticker. All right? Conscious Ticker, yes. All right? So we're going to show you, if you click on the logo itself, the Black Wall Street ticker right here. This is the ticker in real time. This is a sample out of the Atlanta airport of spending. This is how the ticker actually works. The ticker will be on zero until we announce. And when we announce, we can start in America tracking our spending. And of course, the ecosystem has to be built. Consumers have to sign up, just like you register to vote. Our Money United campaign is that campaign. We need press around Our Money United. You all will be included as part of that press. We will give you all a code, so when people sign up, they put in the name of the code. As they're signing up, we have a database that we can contact Black businesses around the country, ally businesses, to say advertising. And then we have the ticker running on websites in the local community, state, or federal, et cetera. All right, if you can go back. Go back to the beginning. All right, if you can click on the logo again. And click on Voter Wallet up at the top. And this is how, it's the fourth one. This is how the interface will look. So when people are shopping, when you're out shopping, right? It's very simple. Someone can join as a merchant or a member, shop as a member. They can invite friends and merchants, refer customers and merchants. They can give to nonprofits, and they can invest in the ecosystem. But all based upon building the conscious economy together. It doesn't come overnight. It's a process. You got to register people to vote in order to do so. So that is the voter wallet. When you first go to the website, that's exactly what you'll see. And in that, all of the spending occurs, which powers the Black Wall Street ticker. And that is the end of my presentation. And right now, if we could take some questions from the audience. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. I really like the concept, and I hope that it grows and that we all support it. I was wondering, how else can we support? I think that, there like reporting content. I like to invest. I'm interested in the stock market, and I read, I watch CNBC or different, market analysis all the time. And so it would be great to get, consistent market analysis on what you guys are finding out as this is happening. We can, as we saw before with like the way that we can bring on, email subscribers or whatever, like this is something that, yes, we can advertise and say, hey, sign up for this service or this, this tool. But beyond that, what other content, as we are content distributors, what content do you plan on providing to us so that we can consistently promote and support your idea?
Well, let me say this. Most of the partnerships that we do with civil rights organizations, trade associations, et cetera, revolve around delving into data sets, creating data sets that matter to your audience. So part of what we want to do with NNPA and you all individually is to help create data sets. What data is important to your audience? So we can give alerts. I was talking to one of the owners of the Informer newspaper, and she said, hey, are there, oh, she's sitting right there. Oh, same. Now that I see it, for sure. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. Very important. She's like, hey, when there's a spike, an increase in spending, will we get an alert? Well, that's something we had never thought about. But it's very important, right? Because that's a story to write about. Part of tracking what gets measured gets done, what gets tracked gets fixed, is that once we see that we're spending with each other and we've taken $100 million from a certain corporation, the world needs to know about that, right? Why? Because then we inspire people to keep spending. Hey, this is working. So your voice is very critical in doing so. Early content is very critical. When I say early content, talking about the civil rights movement, talking about Black Wall Street, talking about leveraging data for justice as the new frontier to bringing about justice. Because the bottom line is, I would challenge each and every last one of you all in here today. If there's a better way to do it, is there a better way to shut down systemic racism and those that practice it? Is there a better way than keeping your money in your pocket? We get the same answer every single time. If we want to change society, we got to keep our money in our pocket and let God deal with their hearts. They love money. You take it away from them, it becomes a problem. That's how things change. They didn't let slaves go free because they were free. They wanted them free. It was economics. It's the Industrial Revolution. We got to be wise about what we're living in and what's happening. As we prosper, legislations get changed to take back all of the rights. Now, if I'm not telling the truth, somebody please stand up and let me know. But it's happening right now. So we need for you all to talk about it, and not just talk about it one time, but talk about it in a different way. Legislation is one way, voting with the ballot box is one way. Now we need to start talking about voting at the cash register, voting every day with our money in a very organized fashion. So that's what I would say is content, structured content about leveraging technology, decentralization, why we can connect now, why we couldn't do it in the past.
Dr. Walker,
Yes, I'm sorry.
question.
Go ahead.
Last question.
I'm trying to understand the full concept. You want NNPA to promote the platform
Right.
and to solicit the businesses in our area to sign up.
Yes, ma'am.
And what do we get in return for that investment? And is the database that you end up generating shared with us?
As stated earlier, I showed 2 slides that talked about revenue share. Period. We do that with all of the organizations.
The data is revenue.
Right. Well, I was asking your first question first about what we give. Okay. So that not only is signing up consumers and merchants, you get a percentage of that revenue. Period. We put your directory on steroids because you have more data to share. You have a bigger database. And the data is shared. That's the whole purpose of it. We can't do this without the press.
Let's give Brother Walker, a round of applause for this very timely presentation. This has been our ongoing struggle. We come back to the same place. How do we spend money with ourselves? All right, and recycle it, turn it over in our community 10 times over as opposed to somebody else's community. And actually supporting the black press is one way in which we support black business, amen? As we get ready to go close out, first of all, did anyone pick up an extra iPhone charger from out here, outside? Anybody pick up an iPhone charger from outside that belonged to somebody else by mistake? Can you check, please? All right. Let us know. Here to close out this session and give us our instructions, the logistics for the rest of the evening, is our illustrious chair of the board, Dr. Bobby Henry.
I'm gonna make this quick. Now I know y'all tired like me. You've been involved with a lot of brain draining stuff. And if you're anything like me, my brain is about drained. So I'm not gonna keep you long. I just want to say if you're not riding the bus to the Holocaust Education Center, I need to have your names and I need to have it now. This event that's happening at the museum is by invitation only. We are already invited, but we have to come on the bus. So if you decide to drive, give me your name so I can get the names to the museum people. Because of the nature of our entire being here has attracted some attention. And we want to be as safe as we can. We don't need any outside influence to agitate or cause any problems. All right, so that's why it's by invitation. Don't get scared now. You've been in the publishing business and you're scared now. If you're scared now, let me know. No, put your hand down. Put your hand down. Okay, so I need to have those names immediately. If you're not riding the bus, I need those names immediately. And to our brother, Dr. Charles Walker, make your message short. Speak daily with your dollars. If they don't want you in your place, don't go, right? So we really appreciate your comments. Google, thank you so very much. We enjoyed it, and I hope that we can take that and make some money, right? Money is power, right? I understand. We understand that, right? Don't get scared now. Don't be drained. We're getting ready to let you go. The buses will be in the back where it was last night. Yeah, 4:30. 4:30. Yeah, 4:30. The event starts at 5 o'clock. You're about 20 minutes away. Right? Right. Okay, so do we understand? Am I making myself clear? Yes, sir. If I'm not, please let me know. Right? 4:30. Yeah, what time it? No. What did I say? 4:30? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, any other questions? All right.